Now, to juxtapose that rant I just barely finished, here is you're going to witness, or you're going to see a series of events grounded in proper storytelling. So you just barely saw a series of events grounded in whatever, in an abyss of confusion. Now you're going to see a series of events grounded in proper storytelling. In other words, the player will know exactly what to do because the game designer has communicated via this dialogue between these two characters what the player should do.
What are you doing out here in the jungle?
God's work. Not quite the destination I had in mind when I set out, but I don't know what they say. Mysterious ways and so on.
You didn't plan to end up here?
No. I was on my way to the miners' camp in the north. I was stuck here when my boat capsized on the river.
That's exactly what happened to me. How long have you been here?
11 years.
Okay, so far nothing too important. No crucial pieces of information have been communicated, but we still have more information to gain about
That's
Nico.
my girlfriend you've got in your treehouse.
What's the matter with her?
She's been bitten by a venomous river snake.
But can't you do something for her? There's a cure, isn't there?
I ran out of penicillin and morphine years ago, but the local people speak of a root which they believe will counteract the poison.
Okay, we're getting closer to some type of story to follow or puzzle to solve.
Where can I find this root?
I don't know, but maybe the shaman at the village can tell us.
Okay, even closer.
Will you show me the way to the village?
Me? Oh, but I can't.
Can't? Nico's life depends on it.
You're right. Of course I should, despite my own guilt and shame. But I can't go as a representative of God with a priest collar.
A priest collar? You mean you put your personal attire higher than the life of a sick woman?
I will not go to that village looking anything but my best.
Give me your collar. I'm sure I can find a way to press it.
Thank you, my son. In the meantime, I must contemplate my sermon.
Okay.
There was obviously more than a creased collar bothering the priest.
Yeah, now all petty, superficial vanity aside, there was a clear communication to the player of what is needed to be done. We clearly need a cure. That was communicated to us. But in order for us to do that, I need to find the village. But I cannot find the village on my own. I need this priest to guide me. Now, although whatever concerns he has with his village, whatever history he has is not important. The important thing is the game designer clearly communicated to the player using storytelling skills, not game design skills, what is needed through the dialogue. Now all the player needs to do is solve this puzzle of getting this father's collar creased. And it does not require too much of the imagination to see what the solution is. We have two stones here, that can clearly flatten something. If you place something between these two stones, it would flatten that thing really well. And that is very close. That is something that could prove to be very useful in fixing the collar of this father. So we just need to figure out how to do it. Now this is something you can work with. This is something that is concurrent with the story, concurrent with what is needed. Enough evidence has been given to show us a clue of what to do, but enough has been withheld to force the player to figure out something. It's like we still need to be MacGyver. We have been given enough tools to be MacGyver, but we still need to do MacGyver things. And that's when we realize, okay, let's say we're not going to go that far. We're going to be like, okay, well, this big ass thing probably goes into one of these holes.
It was heavy. I guess that was intentional.
You know, we're like, oh, okay, I get it.
The
Now
leverage
it
from
makes
the cross
sense.
allowed me to turn one of the stones, but the other one remained stationary.
Okay. Well, I need both of them to turn to be able to flatten that collar. So this is the best, most appropriate item in my inventory for that. Oh, and it works. Nice.
The vine provided a drive belt to connect the two stones.
Okay. Well, then let's put the collar here.
So there I was, hundreds of miles from civilization, doing the housework for a priest. It's a strange world.
Then let's try this one more time.
The press worked surprisingly well on the collar.
Hallelujah! Pick the collar up. Now, do you see the difference between those two? One, completely cryptic. The other, not so much. Only because there was proper prior communication. Proper communication of the expectations of the player from the game designer via the story, the character dialogue, and item setup. So it seems to me the only concern someone designing a point-and-click adventure game should have is how well the dialogue communicates the expectations to the player of how to solve a puzzle, and how the environment communicates to the player the items needed to solve this puzzle. If you want to create a very difficult problem, don't just take one of them out. Don't just take dialogue out and just have the player freaking mess with a bunch of items and guess, and through countless trial and error figure it out. Just adjust one of those. It seems both of them are necessary. You need some type of explicit communication, and you also need an explicit demonstration of items, or exposition of items. But you just can't take one away if you wanted to make it more difficult. Because you're not making it more difficult, you're making it more cryptic. And there's a difference between cryptic and difficult. Difficult requires you to use your mind, to deduct through strings of logic what is needed to be done. There is no deduction whatsoever in how I solved this problem. It was just a process of elimination. I was not using any type of cognitive functions in my brain to figure that out. I was just guessworking. That's it. So there has to be a balance here. But it's interesting because it is a balance of elements that are not grounded in game design theory. It's a balance of elements grounded in storytelling. That's it. Very interesting, and actually makes this type of game much more attractive to me. Okay, I have well, it's not a confession. I have to point something out that I completely overlooked. I didn't notice until I was editing this video and publishing it. Look at that bush behind my character. See how it's moving? I was so curious about that, but I wasn't curious enough to fully dive into it and figure out why. But that actually is a clue as to how you're supposed to solve this puzzle. Because those leaves are being sucked in by that pump, which is a clue to you for you to think, oh, that means something, right? But so somehow that is a clue for you to know that you're supposed to burn that bush and have the smoke being sucked up into the thing. Now, I propose the question: are the two clues that I pointed out, one being he mentioning the iron lining of this windmill, and now this new one being that those leaves being the animation of leaves being sucked into the thing, are those clues enough to justify are those clues enough to merit this puzzle as not being cryptic? I wonder.